As the years go by, there are some games that just left us astonished at the time and truly hold a special place in our hearts. The games on this list will pertain to titles of the last decade, so in today's video I want to gladly present to you my top 7 games that need a reboot or sequel. Now keep in mind, this list will also include games that were cancelled, but kind of. You'll see what I mean. And kicking off the list, coming in at number 7 is Jet Set Radio Future, or JSRF. Back when I just got my Xbox, Jet Set Radio Future was actually my first ever console game, excluding the systems such as N64 or the Super NES. Jet Set Radio Future was developed by a company named Smilebit and published by Sega. The game mostly included you as the player collecting spray cans littered across the streets. With these spray cans, you need to cover up all the other graffiti from different rival groups. The game has some real aggressive skating in it. You can grind on rails, billboards, poles, and even pop numerous amounts of tricks to spice it up. A matter of fact, the other day, Hideki Naganuma teased the image of the game's logo. Sadly, Hideki is no longer an employee at Sega, and the tweet was only a simple image post. With Jet Set Radio Future being my first Xbox game, I really want to see this game get an overhaul. Coming in at number 6 is Midnight Club, and I hope to see a Midnight Club 4 or maybe a Midnight Club reboot. When Xbox Live was still fresh and friends came over for a fun time, me and 3 other friends just booted up Midnight Club 2 and had hell of a time. It was one of those racing games that was special and had 4 entries in the series, with Midnight Club Los Angeles being the 4th entry. The game really made a huge amount of improvement when I came to Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition and Dub Edition Remix the following year. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, this game was developed by Rockstar, branched off by Rockstar San Diego. Please Rockstar, revisit this game and make it the big racing game for Xbox One and PS4 and show EA how racing games should be done. Coming in at number 5 is Blinks the Time Sweeper. I hope to see a Blinks 3 or a Blinks remake. Well, we have Ratchet & Clank, Jak and Dexter, and even the iconic Master Thief Sly Cooper. But does anyone else remember this Xbox exclusive who could control time with his vacuum? I introduce to you Blinks the Time Sweeper, who is an anthropomorphic cat, well, you see the word on the screen, it's a long word, who's fighting off the TomTom gang, the bad guys who are actually pigs, haha, cats versus pigs. Anyways, developed by Artoon, the guys who made Yoshi's Island on the Nintendo DS, Blinks had a short lifespan and to this day is abandoned to the gaming community. Blinks released in 2002, followed by a sequel in 2004 that had major improvements that included making your own cat, which is your own character, followed by playing as the TomTom gang or a member of the TomTom gang. The game's story was about sweepers like Blinks to fix time glitches in certain dimensions. If these were left unattained, time crystals would form and then eventually to monsters. The last Blinks game was on Xbox, and I personally loved this game growing up as a child and wish they would remake it to bring a sequel to Xbox One or bring Blinks back to life. Please Xbox, or please to the guys at Artoon, please bring back this game. Coming in at number 4 is Timesplitters 4, or if you get a Timesplitters remake. Now there's a lot to say about this franchise, but let's take a look at how this game was a masterpiece back then. With 3 entries in the series, I mostly played Timesplitters Future Perfect back on the GameCube, and pretty much that was my only GameCube game I actually played, and there was a Soul Calibur on GameCube. Published by EA Games as opposed to Eidos Interactive, in this game you played as a time-traveling agent named Cortez. No, not Stone Mountain 64 Cortez, but Cortez, who is going into the past in order to save the future. Co-op was even in this game, followed by a range variety of multiplayer options. The game was mostly compared to games like GoldenEye 007 and Perfect Dark back in the N64, and at that time the game had looks of cartoon-like qualities because of its comic book-inspired design. Many characters were also parodies of established pop culture stereotypes. Now, Timesplitters 4 was in development for almost a year since Free Radical has been bought by Crytek back in late 2005 and early 2006. Yes, I said Crytek, the same guys who bring you Crysis. Since then, over the years, it was in development and possibilities of a new Timesplitters series or Timesplitters 4 was possible back in July 2013. Steve Illis, who was a Timesplitters developer, was asked if Timesplitters 4 would ever see light. He responded by quoting, "I don't think there's any chance that's going to happen. You always got to the point where the marketing person in the room would say, I don't know how to sell this, because they want a character that can put us on the front of Xbox." So it looks as if the game died over the years. Sadly, I wish we as the gaming community would have a high demand for this and demand on Crytek for making a Timesplitters 4, and especially porting over to the new generation of consoles. I really felt that Timesplitters 4 could have been something of a new generation and bring back that N64 007 feel. But you know, we probably may never get that game. Coming in at number 3 is Fusion Frenzy, or Fusion Frenzy 3, or either a reboot. Oh my god, this game really put sugar, spice, and everything nice on a disc. This game was a launch title for the Xbox and was mainly a 4-player party game with 45 different minigames. That's right, 45. Developed by Blitz Games and released on November 14, 2001. If you wanted to have fun, play Fusion Frenzy. Now there's too many game modes to talk about. Just now, every game mode was really fun. Now I don't know that much about Fusion Frenzy 2 because that one was rather much more disappointing and rushed. As of Blitz Game is officially closed and abandoned since 2013, so sadly we may never get another Fusion Frenzy title. I could see this game impacting the generation of today with some fun mini games such as Tailblazing, Twisted Systems, Sumo, Blast Man Standing, and many more. With Xbox Live and PlayStation Network so developed these days, I could see this game scraping our wallets out and having hell of a time with 3 other friends. Coming in at number 2 is The Suffering. Either make a Suffering remake or The Suffering 3. Imagine a game like Outlast but with more huge guys and scary looking monsters, where you have to survive but have guns and even transform to a monster occasionally at times, while The Suffering is the game for you. You play as a guy named Torque and you're on death row for murdering your wife and child even though you claim you're innocent. While in jail, an earthquake erupts and strange supernatural creatures attack the prison. Critics say the game wasn't scary and differentiated from other games like Resident Evil 4 or Silent Hill, but damn, this game scared me as a kid. This game sold over 1.5 million copies and was followed by a sequel in 2004 named The Suffering Ties That Bind. But what makes this game so special, you may ask? It had 3 different endings, and depending on decisions you make in the game, and people, we're talking 2004 here, with the graphics of today and creativity of developers, they could bring one hell of a scary ass title back to the gaming industry. The game was developed by Sorrel Software and was published by Midway. Sadly, again, Sorrel Software was disbanded in 2010, so rest in peace, The Suffering. Now before I mention my number 1 choice of a game that deserves a reboot or sequel here are some honorable mentions.
Of this place. After you.
Half-Life 3. Bejeweled. God Hand. Beautiful Joe 3. And finally, number 1.
He thought he had left his past behind him. He thought he'd have a future. He was wrong. The battle has just begun.
There must be another way.
Let time run its course.
Prince of Persia: The Kindred Blades. Wow. As expected from Ubisoft, so when I always go to IGN.com or GameSpot.com in the days to see some E3 reveals, I saw some interesting footage pertaining to a Prince of Persia 3 game. It's similar to Prince of Persia 2 Thrones, but the Kindred Blade just looked a lot more cooler. What really caught my attention was that in the cancelled version, we were given the choice when to turn into the Dark Prince with the use of fire instead of randomly turning into the Dark Prince in the 2 Thrones. It was speculated that the prince's actions would determine what ending players would get. The game would have been about 17 hours long. Some screenshots of the game had the same looking prince from Warrior Within and without the chain on his arm. Some of the cinematics from Kindred Blades looks far more sharper than the 2 Thrones, but knowing Ubisoft, they always downgrade visuals. And yes, this was around 2004, 2005, so they were downgrading visuals since then. And what really bothered me the most was why not make this game a sequel to the Two Thrones instead, or reboot the game for fans and stop recycling Assassin's Creed. By the way, I don't hate Assassin's Creed, only, yeah, Unity, because Unity was like, you know, buggy and glitchy all over. The gameplay mechanics were a lot more encouraging in Kindred Blades, especially the speed kill system, which had a more slow motion effect, and was to me more like of a, you know, one button takedown if you execute your enemy from behind, which was to me looked a lot more cooler than the speed kill system, but you know, some opinions differentiate between that. Where the cancelled version was to follow the same dark theme as Warrior Within, except we're back in Babylon, and it really kind of followed the same story with the Vizier taking over Babylon. As for all my personal choices, I can't help but to stress that thought when I picked up Prince of Persia: The Two Thrones. You did it again, Ubisoft, showed off content that we can never play, but seriously, pay attention back to this series. I'll buy the most expensive version you got. And really, Ubisoft, take your time, look back at what you were going to reveal, and just make Prince of Persia: The Kindred Blades a sequel to The Two Thrones. Whereas I found the Forgotten Sands pretty disappointing and way out of tone compared to what the original Prince of Persia games were. I never really got a chance to play the reboot in 2008 or 2009 it was made in, but I was hearing a lot of positivity about that one, but I just want back my old time making this, so please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more upcoming content, and I will see you guys later. Thank you.